Next, we welcome another guest of honor to this forum who will bring us insights into the current state of affairs on a wide range of immigration matters. She is an immigration attorney with a business corporate legal background and has the heart of a fiery human rights community leader. She embodies all that. She is our Romanian honorary consul in Connecticut. I'd like to cede the Zoom mic to Attorney Dana Bucin.
Hi, thank you so much for the generous introduction. And it's my pleasure to address you, my co-nationals, and not only on issues impacting immigration. I'm going to speak to you primarily from a attorney point of view. So I only use honorary consul as a secondary role in this discussion because I've been an attorney, an immigration attorney, far longer than I've been an honorary consul. And from that position, I've been advancing not only the interests of individual immigration clients, but also I've been pushing for immigration reform for a long time now. This is not a new topic on my agenda. It's been around for a while because, as you probably know, we've had a broken immigration system for quite a while now. It's just that lately, given the recent very stringent immigration policies, we are seeing its faults much more so. I myself am dealing with double the challenge these days. The first challenge in my practice area, actually triple challenge. The first challenge is that even before the current presidential administration, we haven't had enough visas to go around for all the qualified professionals that our marketplace demands. Now with the current policies, we are having an even more stringent or restrictionist approach to immigration. So that's my second challenge. And my third challenge is COVID-19. So I'm going to speak to you about the latest in immigration law and policy as it relates to our current situation, and then follow up with inviting you to join me in efforts to achieve bipartisan immigration reform as soon as conditions allow it. So nobody yet knows a lot of the details I'm going to share because they come to me through the grapevine. They haven't been made public yet, but we are expecting any day now presidential proclamation that would severely restrict a lot of non-immigrant work visas. By that I mean H-1B visas, L-1s, H-2Bs, and J-1s. And we all know that Romanians take advantage a lot of these visa types. And the restrictions that I hear come in the form of prohibiting the entry of new H-1Bs, L-1s, H-2Bs, and J-1s that are obtained at the consulate, at the U.S. consulate abroad, and these people would be coming in from outside of the country. What it will not prohibit, because it cannot do so under the law, is the change of status on U.S. soil from other statuses to H-1B, L-1, H-2B, or J-1. So the president can only work on blocking the entry on U.S. soil, but not on obtaining status while on U.S. soil. So that is a big impact enough, and we should hear this new proclamation, I understand, either today or on Monday or sometime next week, but it's coming down. That means who are the H-1Bs, the H-2Bs, the J-1s, and the L-1s? The H-1Bs are the professional workers, anybody from IT professionals to researchers, postdocs, physicians, working on their residence program, as well as during their 5-year post residence program. The J1s are mostly from what we hear, they're going to be the summer work travel folks who are coming here as interns or trainees on golf courses and hospitality industry. In a way, it makes sense given the decrease in business needs for this type of labor during COVID-19. Then the H-2Bs are the seasonal workers, the ones that are filling out a seasonal or peak or temporary need. They could be in all sorts of occupations, but they tend to be low-skill labor. And the L1s are particularly challenging because they are intercompany transferees. These people are executives or managers or workers of specialized knowledge that are seeking to transfer from a company, let's say in Romania, to its subsidiary or affiliate in the United States. In that sense, it may hinder some of the cross-border business and investment activity that we would like to see more of between Romania and the US. Another regulation that rumor has it is coming down in July. This time this is a regulation and not a presidential proclamation, is a regulation that would further restrict the use of H-1B visas in an employer-employee setting. If I were to guess, I believe this new regulation is targeted at restricting the use of third-party consultancies, the IT consultancy businesses that many are upset about for depressing wages, allegedly, or replacing American jobs. So the regulations is going to most likely target the employer-employee relationship in the IT sector and beyond. And a very painful one is a restriction to the OPT work permit that's coming up. OPT, or optional practical training, is the work permit that is given to any F1 student visa graduate, and it has traditionally been given for 1 year. For STEM graduates, science, technology, engineering, and math, they would be getting an additional 24 months, except that the new regulation is expected to cut down the two additional years, and it would leave F1 student graduates with just 1 year of OPT. Another very important regulation that is coming down that we're expecting is severe restrictions to the asylum system. There have already been a bunch of measures to restrict asylum. The new measure concerns nationals, asylum seekers who are now expected to solicit asylum at any of the countries that they transit through before soliciting asylum in the United States. In other words, anybody coming here after they've already passed through other countries are likely to be denied asylum based on not having solicited asylum there first. To put things into a little bit more perspective, this would have been the situation for Nadia Comaneci, who many of you know immigrated by transiting Romania, Yugoslavia, Hungary, and then Austria before soliciting asylum in the United States. Someone like Nadia would most likely be denied asylum these days for not having solicited asylum first in Yugoslavia, Hungary, or Austria. So all these changes are that I just talked to you about, they are targeted, and they're supposedly using COVID-19 as a justification for further restrictions. I would like to talk a little bit, though, about immigration reform, which is really the ultimate fix of our immigration system. And I want to talk about it from a bipartisan position, because that's where things get done. And locally in Connecticut, I am a member of the Connecticut Immigrant and Refugee Coalition, and with them, we're putting together a white paper on bipartisan immigration reform that has principles that would be agreed upon by both sides of the aisle, and that we would be interested in pushing the Connecticut delegations to be a champion of this reform in Congress. And we are more than open to having you guys help out in your respective states with pushing from your states, your legislators, in achieving bipartisan reform. And I'm going to tell you the 4 pillars of what has been agreed as a bipartisan effort at immigration reform. 1, we would like to build a generous and well-functioning legal immigration system that's responsive to the marketplace. In other words, instead of keeping the same 1980s quotas on visas, such as H-1Bs, we should let the marketplace decide how many workers are needed on the US economy and assign visas correspondingly. This would guard for a situation just like COVID-19, when there's no demand for labor, therefore less visas would be issued, as opposed to boom markets when people are just not getting enough skilled labor. Then the second pillar is establishing a humane asylum and refugee system that ensures both fair and efficient adjudication as well as respect for human rights. The third pillar is ensuring proportionality, accountability, and due process in immigration enforcement, so that someone isn't getting deported for having littered the highway, let's say. So at the same time, due process is necessary, especially in today's environment where the immigration court, because it's not an independent court, it is under the jurisdiction of the executive branch. Therefore, due process would dictate that we would set up an independent immigration court system that is more concerned with due process for immigrants. And the last pillar is ensuring a path to citizenship for folks who have been here for a long time. They've learned English, they've paid their taxes, they're doing everything right. It is about time that they come out of the shadows, and regulated and fair advancement towards citizenship would be something that most people in the United States would agree upon. And how are we going to get this done? At least from Connecticut, we are going to issue a white paper on immigration reform, which is going to be the subject of a video, kind of like a longer ad. That video would highlight a few cases of immigrants who have achieved great success, but not only so, they've contributed to the society around them. And interspersed with their interviews would be points of immigration reform from our white paper, so as to influence public opinion on the need to reform the system in a bipartisan way. Again, bipartisan is necessary because of the need. If we want to achieve comprehensive immigration reform, we have to balance both our tradition as in respecting human rights as a nation of immigrants and refugees with our need for border security and other measures that ensure that there's a fair, efficient, and honest system of issuing visas, green cards, asylum claims, etc. With that, I would like to invite you to contact me for any further ideas you have from your particular jurisdictions on how we could get the point across, the push for immigration reform. Evidently, it has to be done in Congress. The Congress we have right now is not going to make much advancement on that front. Maybe a new Congress will post the November election, but even so, influencing public opinion is a necessary precursor to achieving any type of reform in Congress. So thank you very much for your attention. And again, I invite you to collaborate on this project and to send me any written comments that you might have.
Thank you for these timely insights. And while you were presenting, a few board members of community-based organizations have already mentioned their interest in participating in this campaign. And definitely we will be discussing this as part of the roundtable discussions, where there will be the opportunity to also have a Q&A time while others are in different circles. But this presentation has been made available here so that everybody from every field can join in. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your input and insight.